I was browsing the Overwatch subreddit a while ago, skimming through posts, ignoring highlights because we definitely need more of those on the front page of Reddit, when I come across a post talking about people saying KYS to other players in game. Most posts I see that are about harassment in Overwatch, I read the content, a comment or two, and just continue on my merry way. But a few of the comments were funny, so I kept scrolling down the page, and for every fluffy, pure-hearted saint, a cynical asshole was around the corner, and when one shows up and makes a scene, the other sticks their head out. A guy states that it's pointless to tell people not to be a dick to others on the internet since people are anonymous and they don't want to try being nice since they don't have to. Fair point, but this got me thinking about similar posts and comments I've seen before. Posts with a victim, some antagonist, and differing forms of harassment. Then comes the inevitable reply of, "It doesn't matter, it's just a game," or, "Get over it, this is the internet, it's never gonna change, people are dicks." These posts are at least a weekly occurrence in my feed, and they all get the same response from me. "Oh, that sucks." And then I move on to the next one. For these, I don't interact with them at all, but I start to notice types of people that form around differing Reddit posts. For these harassment posts, there are ones who sympathize and push the anti-hate message further, while there are also those who go against the post trying to stop the reason the OP made the post in the first place through denial or just trolling. And the longer I thought about groups of people and subcategories in them, the more fascinated I became. In any group, the majority holds the power, excluding any external interference. The majority will always decide on the whole group's course of action in their situation. In a group of 3, 2 people can alienate the third member, casting them off. A group of 5 only needs 3 people to band together, so on and so forth in any odd-number group. And in an even-number group, if there was a 50-50 split, the members would simply break apart and form 2 independent groups and do their own thing. But there comes a point when groups become so big that miniature groups can form and thrive inside of the main one. When this happens, the majority may become weakened, but will still hold the power within the group. However, people are not static beings, just content to do the exact same thing every day. People grow and learn new things and then change themselves with their new experience. Yet they still belong to these groups they've already joined, and when they go back to their group, they have to find out where they fit in again. Do they still feel this sense of belonging that brought them into the group, or is there now a newfound distance? Every time people meet up again, they think of this, maybe not consciously, but everyone is always looking for clues to see if they are in the correct place and with the same people they remember. For the sake of simplicity and for my own sanity, I'll limit my ideas to just a single group and ignore all external influences, so people can only change due to others from the same group. With this limit of the immediate group and only its inner groups, let's start dissecting the Overwatch player community. The 2 most immediate and biggest groups within this community are those who communicate and those who don't. I'm going to keep the communication group vague as those who use any form of communication, whether it be text, voice, content creation, in or outside of the game. Within the communication group, you have those who use each form of communication, of course, but 2 more groups form, those who communicate inside the game and those who also interact outside of the game. From here it becomes more and more specific, like what each group uses as their method of talking outside of the game, along with what medium it uses, text, voice, or media. People can be part of multiple groups. If not, then there would be no way to categorize people efficiently. There would be multiple groups with just the slightest nuance to describe each person that it would be a hassle to even try and figure out if you weren't the person being categorized. For example, I talk with the Overwatch community both inside and outside the game. I use text and voice chat, while I use other platforms such as Reddit, Discord, and now media on YouTube. If I were to try and group one of my friends, I would have no way of knowing what other methods they use for interacting unless we use the same platforms and talk together on them. For the majority of my friends list, I only know that they use the in-game methods of communication, but I have no way of knowing if they use Twitter, Reddit, the Blizzard forums, YouTube, or any other form of social media. But how does knowing what people use to communicate have to do with the group majority and posts people make about harassment, the reason you even started making this video in the first place? Well, now we know how people can reach others in the Overwatch community. If we know this, then we have a means of trying to change the group and the majority in power. Great, the entirety of the Overwatch community uses Reddit, what now? If this was true, then it makes thinking about changes in the group a lot easier, so I'll make this reality for, yet again, keeping my sanity. With everyone on Reddit redditing, we can now start influencing the entire Overwatch community. To begin, we need to do the most obvious thing in order to initiate the dawn of a new community: an idea. take this idea and start to formulate a way on how to express it. For example, a Reddit text post. But a text post requires a few things, most importantly the ability to communicate through text efficiently. After that, a title and a body, nothing more. The more eloquent the post is, the more people will enjoy it and resulting in it gaining more traction. People liking the post also results in it being shared to more and more of the Overwatch community until everyone knows about it. Wait, everybody knows about the post? Bam, you now have a majority. An example of this would be DSP Stanky on Reddit. He managed to do something unique and enjoyable that people shared it and propelled him to be famous on not just Reddit but other platforms as well. That's great and all, but DSP Stanky isn't trying to change Overwatch, at least that we know of. We are, so let's hear something relevant. Well, the theoretical post we made before was for change. Because it was well received and the majority, everyone has seen it, the idea in the post is now planted into everyone. The difference between DSP Stanky and the post is that DSP Stanky creates interesting videos that have a simple purpose, to entertain, while our post is about changing people, and changes take a lot of time to come into fruition. But a perfect post and time are not the only things needed. People need to remember the lesson in the post. Repetition and more repetition is the key for this. People need to be taught new things, and behaviors are no different. So repost until everyone knows the content by heart is the most effective way to kill the change you wish to see before it truly catches on. Also, every person is different, so you need multiple formats that every kind of person would enjoy. And make sure that it is in every language ever spoken, that way people from around the world can fully understand what the message you are trying to portray is. Oh, and also have multiple stories and strong evidence to back up your claims so you can go toe-to-toe with those who require facts before believing something. And also make it friendly to every age group so kids and seniors can get on board, and also make sure to... See, making change in any group is hard without using outside help. People often complain about how words are useless and don't mean anything on the internet, but that is not the case. All forms of communication are powerful. It depends on multiple requirements for the message to be imparted completely. Making sure that all requirements are met is the difficult part for anyone to do. Those who are clever enough to get just a few of them met, and diligent to keep the lesson repeating in different disguises, are the ones who manage to change on larger and larger scales. But what of the people who refuse to accept the change in the group or have a different idea on how the community should progress? Well, they now make a post in response that gains its own appeal and traction, resulting in another shift in what the Overwatch community agrees upon. This now becomes a cycle of responses that can never have an end, without some form of compromise that will most likely never be reached. Will a single post ever be able to change an entire collective of people, even in my idealized scenario? Definitely not. But a single post will bring more people around to the idea the OP discusses in the post. Regardless, those who become overwhelmed with fear or doubt about voicing their own opinions just pass the opportunity to those whose opinions they are against. Does this mean that all social media should become a giant battleground with everyone trying to convert others into their brand of ideal thought? No. This would only breed an overly opinionated culture that, unless humans change on a socially fundamental level, will be counterproductive in every aspect. Any decision would reach a standstill since everyone would be unwilling to compromise since their idea is the best method for this task. But then what would the purpose of me making a video about how groups work from a disagreement on the internet be if not for a self-righteous idea, or to change how people view others in society? Truthfully, it came from boredom. Boredom that sparked from a lack of entertainment and a slight fear that not everyone wants to think and ponder such things for themselves. I do admit that making this video does stop those who watch it from thinking in depth on what I already have, but what comes after this video is no longer in my control. After all, the idea I had is now planted in your brain and will grow if you want it to. The torch has been passed on. Whether you let its flame burn on and light a fire for another person, or die off, never to be thought of again, is your choice, but it marks the end of my video. Thank you for watching.